Contract deferred, getting paid until the day I die. Money coming in, but not one at bat, not one pitch, and not one strike. Being deferred is where it's at. Deferred.
Oh, goodness, of course. Why did I catch that right then? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Podcast Name Deferred. I'm your host, Seven. With me is Ando. We have some others that should be joining us a little bit later. Sorry for not having a show last week. Kind of. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Last week I was actually in Kansas City watching the Royals face off against the Red Sox. First time getting to see the Red Sox live, so it was definitely a positive experience. And Red Sox won the game. So I got to see Jarren Duran hit a home run. We had the best seats I've ever had at a professional baseball game. We were 3 rows behind the Red Sox dugout in the lower bowl. And I will say this, and I say this a lot. If you get a chance before it gets torn down and the Reds and the Royals move into downtown Kansas City, go watch a game at Kauffman Stadium. This guy can tell you it is a beautiful stadium to go watch a baseball game in. The people there, even to visiting fans, like I was all decked out in Red Sox gear. And the visiting fans were fantastic. It's a great atmosphere to go watch a ball game. So if you get the chance, I highly encourage it. And I got Ando here with me, sir. How you doing tonight?
You know what? I'm fantastic. Right now, it's peaceful and quiet. Why? Because there's no damn Yankees fans and no damn Dodger fans that are currently blasting the airways. It's 2 guys who love their sports team, the Boston Red Sox, and the Seattle Mariners, who they're like the Cubs, right? They're the lovable losers. I think they're the team that people either secretly root for but don't want to be chastised like me, or they completely forget that they exist. It's like the Jacksonville Jaguars of Major League Baseball. People are like, they still got baseball up in the Pacific Northwest. You're damn right we do. And I will say, to go further, I personally have never been to Kauffman Stadium inside. I did get to see Kauffman Stadium in September of 2023 when I saw the Chiefs play the Lions on Thursday Night Football to open up the NFL season. And I think it's not just the Royals, because the Chiefs did the same thing with the Lions fans there, because we were sitting by a lot of Lions fans who were at the game. I think it's just Kansas City's atmosphere and their camaraderie of being a sports team, right? You don't have the immediate market and the sports media that like the New York, the LAs, the Miamis, the Chicago has, where there's pressure to perform. And the media is going to kind of get people to hate you, or this is why they're the best team ever. Kansas City, I feel, kind of has a Midwest feel to it. There's something about Midwest, and it's not just the sports teams, but it's the hospitality. You could be on a road trip from California to New York, and when you stop in the Midwest states, the Oklahomas, the Iowas, the Nebraskas, the Kansas, there's just, we love you no matter where you are from, right? We may not like your team that you're rooting for, as evidence to the Yankees beating the holy hell out of the Royals this week. But, come on in. We're going to make you at home. You may not be a part of the family, but we'll have a plate ready for you, right? And I think you saw that when You went to Kaufman. I
Yeah.
saw that with the Lions fans when I went to Arrowhead. Again, I was going for the Chiefs though. But I mean, that's the cool thing I love about Kansas City is they welcome the visitors in as much as they welcome their own.
I think you're correct, and for me, it's I like that about the Kansas City sports culture because like I've never been one of those people that was a fan of of my local teams because like when I was in Arizona, I wasn't a D-backs fan. I wasn't a Cardinals fan. Now up here, yes,
have you been to other baseball games besides this one in Kansas City and Boston?
Yeah, I've been to 2 or 3 other games at Kaufman. It was always Kansas City was playing somebody else, so I was there supporting the Royals.
Okay.
And a handful of games at Chase Field
And that's Phoenix, right?
in Phoenix, yeah, where the D-backs play. I've actually seen the D-backs face every single one of their division opponents. For some reason, every D-backs game that I went to was a divisional game.
Yeah.
I've seen them play against the Dodgers, the Rockies, the Giants, and the Padres. Those are the D-backs play live.
It was like that when I was stationed up in Everett, and in the military they have this group called MWR, the Morale, Welfare and Recreation. They work with, especially in bigger cities, with sports teams to get tickets at a cheaper price so that you can go and enjoy it when you're in port. And I know I went to 3 or 4 Mariners games when I was stationed in Everett between 2006 and 2008. And I know one of them was against the Astros because we got killed 7-1 in one of those games. And everybody around me was leaving. So, like, if the broadcast, I never watched the broadcast, but if you watch the broadcast, it was me and like the 2 guys that I was drinking with. And we had this whole section all to ourselves. So it's just kind of like, had you caught us, we were sitting back there, legs up on the seats, like, dude, we may be getting killed. But I mean, it's a beautiful night for baseball. It's like June, Seattle. It's perfect. You got the wind coming off the Puget Sound. One of them was against the Athletics, which was also in the division. I think that one was extra innings. I think that was like a 4-3, 5-4 game. And then the third game, which was the last one that I went to, I don't even remember who we were playing. It was kind of more of I knew that this was going to be my last time getting together with the group of friends that I was with. So it was kind of more of the camaraderie and hey guys, thanks for coming with me. This kind of be the last official hangout we'll ever have before I, leave Washington State in the military. So
Right.
it was fun times, man. If anybody watching has not been to a baseball game, be it professional or even a minor league team, you owe it to yourself to go watch a baseball game. There's something about going to take in. It's why it's called America's pastime, because there's something about going to a baseball game. Don't go alone. Take family or friends with you. I like to take my nephew to our minor league team we have here, the Sioux City Explorers, and he goes crazy when the mascot starts walking around on the metal bleachers. You get the mascots in there and all the kids go crazy. But I think you owe it to yourself to go to the game with some friends and family and watch it at least once in your lifetime. Make it a bucket list.
It's a very enjoyable thing to just go. Like I was honestly more relaxed at the baseball game than I was in anything else that day. And for those of you who don't know, I closed on my house that morning.
Mm-hmm.
And still, despite all the stress of buying a house, which for any of you that have done it, it is a headache. Obviously, when you're done, it's great, but just going through the process was a headache. We got through that, and we were still dealing with trying to figure out how to get stuff signed with the HOA at that point. But just being there, it was relaxing. Everybody around was great. Even the Royals fans, like everybody, it was just, a bunch of people watching a game, and it was definitely a positive experience. I agree with you. So just, go to a game at least once if you've never been. Pick a stadium and go. They all have their benefits. And I'd even say, if you have the chance, go to Yankee Stadium. There's a lot of history on those walls in that stadium.
No, not going. You can pay me enough.
I will go.
I'll go to Dodger Stadium before I go to Yankee Stadium. I will say that.
I will go at least once, and the reason behind that is so one of the things that's cool is there is a part like a kind of like a history area that they have in Yankee Stadium, even the new one,
okay. All right.
where it shows like there's a signature of every player that's ever put on a New York Yankees uniform.
Even like the really not good ones. Just even if you got to put on the pinstripes, you get to sign that off.
So the original iteration of this podcast, Winter Meetings, a few years ago, we had for most of our first season, we had a gentleman, his name was Stephen Weaver, that co-hosted with us, and he pitched for the Yankees. He pitched in one game. He was in the game for 3 innings before he blew out his arm, never made it back up. He's got a signed ball in there, and that's one of the things I want to go see. I want to go see his signed ball. I want to find it, and then you think about all the history that's walked through. Like, don't get me wrong, and I cannot stress this enough. Fuck the Yankees, but as a fan of just baseball in general, the history in there and the stuff that they can show off, like for me, I'm 100%. Like, just once I want to see it, but I'll spend a lot more time exploring the history in Fenway and the stuff that they have there for baseball history. But just to go to Yankee Stadium once, yeah, I'll go.
You know what? For that aspect, I probably would. Yeah.
Now, let's go ahead and dive into what's going on around the league. First, let's start with one of the bigger topics going around. The Chicago Cubs are in a free fall. So bad that Tom Petty's estate is actually suing the Cubs organization for brand infringement. So Dan is not here with us. Ando, obviously, I'll let you kick this off. What's causing the problems? I know, crazy, right? What's causing the problems, and what can the Cubs do to pull up before this plane just fucking crashes?
So first things first, the Cubs, last I did checked, were ahead of the Pirates in Game 3 of the series that they got against the Pirates. But looking at the Cubs' schedule over the course of the last 10 games, they've only had 2 games that I've considered close. It was a 9-8 game that they had against the White Sox that started their 10-game losing streak, and then on Monday they had a 2-1 loss against the Pirates. Both of those games, their bats went cold. I figured about the time that they needed it most, right? That 9-8 game, it was tied 4-4. Then it was 7-4. Cubs put a couple more runs on the board. And then in the bottom of the 10th, I think it was the 10th, it was tied 7-7. Cubs got a run in the top of the 10th. And then the White Sox got 2, so which made it 9-8. But they left, because I got it in my notes here. In that game, they left like 13 runners stranded. That is not winning baseball. You can't leave guys stranded on the bases, especially late in the game, when you know you need those runs to come in. But the other games in their losing streak haven't been close. I think the closest was like a 2-run game. So technically a save opportunity if you're looking at the opponents, which is great. But if it's a save opportunity, that means at least 2 hits and you have an opportunity to tie the game because you get 2 runners on board. A home run makes it a 3-run game. And a lot of those games, the Cubs now have a shot. So I took a look at the losing streak that they had. Obviously, the 2 games against the White Sox, which as of today, the White Sox are at 500, which I think is more shocking than them actually beating the Cubs, is that we're talking about a Chicago White Sox team that's at 500 more than 10 games into the season. Like if you would have told me 500 at 5-5, even 10-10, hey, the White Sox are improving. 27-27. So we're 54 games into the season and the White Sox are at 500. First off, hats off to the White Sox for the White Sox fans for hanging in there. Rockies fans, I don't have anything to tell you, but at least the White Sox are coming up. Then you got swept by the Brewers. But the Brewers won their division last year, and they're still a very, very heavy team considering they're 13 games above 500 as of today. So that's good. You got swept by the Astros, which as a Mariners fans, pardon my language, but fuck the Astros. I say fuck the Astros like Seven says fuck the Yankees. But even a bad team has to win 3 games once in a while in a row. So we'll give them that. And then obviously the 2 games against the Pirates. What I'm noticing as a pattern, at least in this losing streak until they beat the Pirates today, the pitching is there's something wrong with the pitching. Either they're not locating or they're leaving them right over the middle for the batters to hit because every game has had at least 5 hits or more during this losing streak that the Cubs have had. And their bats are just not hitting the way it is. However, to talk about this 10-game losing streak, the Cubs are still 3 games above 500. Yes, they're last place in the NL Central. Yes, every team in the NL Central is still at or above 500 because this game will determine who will be in last place because the Cubs and the Pirates going into this game have the same record of 29 and 26. The Cubs are the only team to have not one, but 2 10-game winning streaks earlier this season. So, as bad as we are talking about them now, just remember that this team has already won 10 games twice in a row. So I don't think it's anything. It is definitely a concern. And you need to tweak or fix something within that clubhouse, which obviously they did because they beat the Pirates. They were beating the Pirates today. But I think the Cubs, if they get it fixed, I think they'll be all right. Yes, baseball, thank you. It is official. The Cubs won. Hallelujah.
10-4 against the Pirates. That losing streak is over.
Yeah.
And no, I'm honestly like I like what you said there. Like there's, and when I was looking into it, like there was a lot of things that I was seeing people were saying about Alex Bregman struggling, and like I will say I agree that Dansby Swanson has been struggling, but like Bregman, when you look at his numbers, like he's hitting like 265, between 260 and 265 for the month of May. He's not like is it struggling by his standards? Yeah, he's only had 4 strikeouts all month though. He's only had but yeah, he's only got walked once. So like with Bregman, there's not as much of an issue, but I do think that Ian Happ and Seiya Suzuki stranding a bunch of runners on base is a big problem that the Cubs have dealt with, not just in this current slump, but in general this year. They're actually both near the top of the list and league leaders for stranding runners on base. But like for me, I think the thing that I focused on so much with the Cubs was the pitching rotation. Justin Steele, Matt Boyd, Cade Horton, they've all had injury list stints. Edward Cabrera, I think he just got added on recently. They've also been giving up a lot of home runs. Like, case in point, Shota Imanaga's last start, he gave up 3 home runs to the Astros. And, you look at all these issues with injury and home run problems. You're relying on young pitchers more. But Jordan Wicks gave up 8 runs in the 12-1 loss to the Pirates. Like and then there's also just been a lot of fielding mistakes. Like PCA's had a error bug recently. I don't know if that woman that he got in the argument with during the White Sox series just got into his head or something. Yeah. They've had those issues, and it's baffled me that they've continued to struggle. Hopefully tonight is a sign of things to come, but I haven't had a lot of expectations about the Pirates this year. Anyway, they're a better team than they were last year. Like I said, they are, but they're certainly still a last place team. So I think that the Cubs can move up, and now they hit 30 wins. So they'll kind of start moving in that right direction. And that division is so damn tough.
Yeah. So I did take a look at the last 7 games because I have ESPN pulled up on my second screen here. I took a look at the hitting for the Cubs over the last 7 games. They have had 184 bats. They have 30 hits of those 184. Bregman is hitting 384 in the last 7. He is the only person above 300. They have,
that doesn't surprise me,
3 other players that are hitting above 200. Pedro Ramirez, who has only played in 4 games, Carson Kelly, and Moses Balatroas. Is that how you say his name?
It's collective. I just look at collectively in a team, they're hitting like 163. I think was what that average would come out to.
Yeah,
and that's your. That's what it is. I mean, it's like
that's not winning baseball. You're not going to win baseball if you're hitting 183 or 163.
You and I have both been dealing with this with our respective teams because they both have been struggling with cold bats, and both of them, both the Mariners and the Red Sox, things seems to be moving toward the right direction. Jaron Duran's brought his batting average up like 25 points in the last week. I think the game that I watched, the series in Kansas City, I think was a turning point for Jarren Duran, and I think we're going to see a different player moving forward. I think he finally just figured out something with his swing, and he finally started just getting the timing right, which I think is great. And you're starting to see that same type of thing with some of those guys on the Mariners.
Yeah.
And so, like with the Cubs, there's going to be some ups and downs, but I think for a team going on a bunch of 10-run streaks early in the season and then having a bunch of losing streaks to coincide with it,
Yeah.
you can't have that up and down. You've got to get into a more consistent realm, because if you don't, that 10-run losing streak could hit at a really bad time.
Yeah.
And you really don't want that. So I think with the Cubs need to find consistency somehow. If that's making a trade, which we're going to be talking about this a little later. I think that the trade, now that we're through Memorial Day, I think the trade talk is going to start to heat up, because the next 6 to 8 weeks is going to be huge. We're going to see, I think we see more than one blockbuster trade this season. But we're going to talk about that here in a little bit. All right. So
when is the trade deadline? Because it's in July, right?
It's in July, not long after the All-Star break.
Hold on, I'm looking for it right now.
I want to say it's like the middle of July.
August 3rd.
Oh, August 3rd. Okay.
August 3rd, yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, realistically, we got about 7 weeks until the dedeadline. So this is when it usually starts.
It's hard to believe it's already May. We're almost through May already, man. Jesus, we're getting old.
I was working through some of my sales tracking today, because it's stuff that I do at the end of the month to get ready to wrap everything up.
Yeah.
And I was just like, are you serious?
Yeah.
We're already at that point. And but you know what? Yeah, we got.
I'm already 2 weeks into my new job, man. Who would have thought 2 weeks ago I would be starting my new job? And now here I am 2 weeks into my new job.
I think it's going to be much better for you than what you've been doing. That's for damn sure.
Agreed. More money too.
Yeah, that's always good. So, like I said, we are past Memorial Day. This starts when you have a solid picture of who your team is so far this year. And who do you think should be panicking, and who should be just putting that for sale or trade sign up next to their roster?
My mom and my sister are going to kill me. But the way the Guardians are playing right now in the AL Central, you almost have to put a panic button on the Kansas City Royals, right? They looked good against the Mariners in the series over Memorial. Well, no, because they didn't play the series before Memorial Day weekend against the Yankees. They played the Mariners. Because that's the series after you and the Red Sox went to Kauffman. Yep. And they looked really good. Like game one, it was a 2-0 game. Very good pitchers duel. But then the bats just came alive for the Royals. And then all of a sudden against the Yankees, you can get like 4 runs in 3 games. Like something's going on there. But I don't know if it's like, I think you need to find a better ace, because I don't know if the Royals' ace is going to cut it, especially with the toughness that you have in the AL Central. Bobby Witt, Salvi Perez, they're 2 really good bats. Joe Caglione, if he can stay healthy, I think will be a very good bat for that Kansas City team. But other than those guys, I mean, I don't see the consistency with the Royals. They'll have like a 3 or 4 game stretch. They'll go 3-1, maybe 4-1, have a really good week of baseball. And then for 2 weeks, you wonder, who are the Royals, right? And I get that the competition with the Yankees is a hell of a lot different than that of the Mariners. But again, baseball, you said it earlier, is about consistency. If you can get into those stretches where 10 games, let's go 7-3. This next 10 games, let's go 6-4. Let's go 5-5. Then back to 6-4. You're not worried about this. Oh my God, my bat's so cold. We're going to go on a losing streak because it's only me. Or hey, you're not picking up the play on defense. Why are you committing so many errors? As a ball club, and I never played baseball. My oldest brother played baseball, but I never did. So I have to believe consistency consistency has to be a thing in baseball, just like it is with football and basketball. Kansas City, Detroit, I think are 2 teams that definitely should be looking. I was going to say the Twins, but they have gone 7-3 in their last 10, so I think they're slowly turning it around. The Angels, I would say they need to, but I don't think they have any pieces that they can give away besides that really good pitcher that they got. Maybe
Trout.
Yeah. But I mean, you get rid of Trout, the Angels don't have anybody coming to the ballpark at all. Like, I mean, Trout is about the only attraction that they have left. I think those are the three teams in the AL that I would say need to be worried about selling, or blowing it up in some way, shape, or form. Nobody from the NL Central. The Rockies, obviously, I mean, they're 15 and a half games back of the Diamondbacks or of the Dodgers, but it's the Dodgers. You can't, I mean, unless you have an all-star roster like the Yankees, you're not going to compete with the Dodgers. Mets and Phillies have already kind of cleaned house with their managers. Yeah, I think the big teams we'll see movement from are going to be the Angels, Royals, Tigers, maybe the Rockies if they have any pieces that they can still salvage. I think those are the four teams that should worry.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, like for the Rockies, I mean, they live with a for sale sign on their roster. I think the Tigers and the Royals and the Red Sox absolutely should be panicking. I would not be surprised to see any of those three teams be one of the ones that makes one of the biggest trades of the next 6-7 weeks. In fact, all three of them could make big trades. Like I think it's possible. The issue that a lot of teams are going to run into is a lot of the teams that are having problems right now, like with the Royals, their bigger problem is pitching than hitting.
Mm-hmm.
And Detroit is struggling, but they are. I mean, you're looking at a team that was started off the season really well. Through April, they hit 257, but in May they've dropped to 209. So, hitting wise, you're seeing a drop just off of average alone, which is going to tell you a story for other things. And then we move over to pitching, and they had that pitching ERA a little high for the month of April. I think the team ERA was like 3.9, if I remember correctly from when I was doing my research. And then May was 4.18. So you're seeing numbers go up that shouldn't, and numbers go down that shouldn't. Yeah. And so they've got to make some changes. I mean, they're also having a lot of injury issues, which is making things more difficult. They don't know when they're going to get Tarek Skubal back yet. The goal is hopefully by the break. Casey Mize, another one of their starters, he's kind of in and out. Verlander's out. Could be. I don't know that Verlander's going to come back this season. Kelly Jansen.
Verlander's pushing 40, isn't he?
He's over 40. He's 43.
Yeah, no, I would at this point. I mean,
and dude, like your wife is
Kate
respectfully is Kate Upton is respectfully super fucking hot. Go home, bro.
Yeah,
just go home.
How are you making it to the ballpark, bro? Like Justin, if you ever watch this, how do you get out of bed in the morning with her laying next to you? It'd just be like if Seven had Anna Kendrick in his bed. Like, this podcast would not be going on.
Nope.
Like, I would be running the show, which is saying a lot. So,
I wouldn't get shit done. I mean, and then you look at, like, through their lineup, they're also dealing with injuries. Like, Gleyber Torres was supposed to be an anchor. He's injured right now. Javi Baez is injured right now. Kerry Carpenter is injured right now. Like, Trey Sweeney was supposed to be somewhat of an impact for them. He's out. Like, they're struggling right now. I think Detroit definitely needs to make, like, they need to start either buying or selling. Like, you just shit or get off the pot.
It baffles me how I know that the Royals maybe not so much, but the Tigers were definitely in contention for the division between them and Cleveland. But it says a lot that the Chicago White Sox are second place in the AL Central behind only Cleveland. It just,
I mean, and they're only a game and a half ahead of the Twins, but both the White Sox and the Twins are rosters that are riddled with young talent. Those guys are going to peter out starting really here anytime. We're going to start to see downturns from both of those rosters, and they're going to have multiple 5 and 5 and 7 game losing streaks as they kind of tumble back down the basement where they belong. But you've got to make sure you're at least trying to beat Cleveland, because otherwise they're just going to run away with the division.
Yeah.
And then now, and when we look at the National League side, I think the Phillies should be panicking. And the reason why I say that is with how tight the wild card race is going to be in the National League. And it's going to be tighter than a fly's ass.
Yeah.
You have to be aggressive now. You can't wait. You can't hope the price is going to get better. If you're going to make a push while you still have Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper playing at an elite level, you have to do it now. And Atlanta's not giving up that division easy. So if you do it now, maybe you can start to make a push for that, because you still got some divisional games against the Braves. They have to push. They are light years better than they were to start the season.
Oh,
Don Mattingly deserves an award just off of what he's done with the Phillies so far since he took over.
Yeah.
But the Phillies still should be panicking. They still need to be aggressive right now. They need to have that climbing out mentality until they get out of it, because you've got to get. I mean, you really shouldn't be panicking until you're less than 5 games. I would say less than 4 games behind the Braves. So you've got some work to do.
Yeah. But the fact that they just swept the Padres in their 3-game series, they can put a feather in their cap for that. Especially for a team that struggled as early in the season. They could have looked at the Padres and said, hey, this is a Padres team that's fighting the best team in the NL and the Dodgers. Right? We don't have a chance. Nah, they came out swinging 3-0, 3-0, 4-3. So the Phillies are there. The Phillies are putting pieces together. They've won 4 of their last 5, and minus the 3-game skid where they lost to the Reds, and the Guardians. Before that, they swept the Pirates. They won the series against the Red Sox. They won the series against the Rockies, and then they won the series against the Athletics. So the pieces are there, and the Phillies are finally, I think, in a rhythm where they're putting it together. If you can make a move, I agree with you. But at the same time, the chemistry is there. You don't want to change the team too much that you kill the chemistry. I would say focus, maybe an outfielder, maybe. Yeah.
And that's one of their biggest needs, honestly.
Yeah. Outfielder, I think their pitching rotation looks okay. I don't like the pitching rotation against those, like the obviously the Dodgers and the Braves. But I think if you put this Phillies team in a 7-game series against Brewers, Diamondbacks, Padres, obviously they just won the 3-game series. I feel comfortable with the team right now against those guys that they're fighting for the division. Or fighting for the wild card. I'm sorry.
Well, and you're right. Like they're going to be able to make, as long as they make the right choices now. I think that adding an extra, you need to add a bat somewhere, and I think maybe you look at like if I'm the Phillies, having somebody that can play left or right is probably going to be a good thing, because if Brandon Marsh is kind of up and down, you want to make sure you can have somebody reliable that you can place there. And then when you look at the other side, I will always show respect to the defense that Adolis Garcia shows when he's on, but his bat is absolutely terrible this year.
Yeah.
And they need to shore up the bottom of that batting order if they're going to make a push, because Atlanta's pushing a lineup that can deliver 1 through 9.
Yeah.
The Dodgers are pushing a lineup that can deliver 1 through 9. You have to fill those. You have to just shore that up. And so I think that's where it is, as much as, I like Brandon Marsh defensively. He does a pretty good job in the outfield.
Yeah.
At least from the stuff that I've seen of him. I'm not one of those guys that looks at a lot of defensive stats, because I think a lot of those are kind of subjective. Yeah. I watch players play, and I like what he does in the outfield for the most part, but his bat it's just not good. He's only hitting like 201 this year. They could replace him, and they needed a better outfield last year, and they didn't do it, and it ended up being their downfall, or part of their downfall. But their rotation this year, I will agree with you. The rotation is great. Maybe you try to shore up the bullpen a little bit, put a little bit more oomph in there. But they've got to at least, you've got to have a bat to replace Brandon Marsh. I think that that's a choice that they have to make. And then when you're looking at the rest of the National League,
Brandon Marsh or Garcia.
Garcia is the one that
Okay.
needs. Yeah, is the one that.
Yeah,
the
because
bat needs to be replaced.
Marsh this season is batting .326. He's the best hitter
Yeah, he's a great bat, and I just like watching him hit. He does such a great job. I will say I think the Cubs should panic, partially because the Milwaukee Brewers are doing a lot with what was honestly a more depleted roster. The Brewers got rid of a few good pieces during the offseason.
Peralta being one of them.
And then you also have the fact that the Cardinals are doing it, and nobody had them expecting. But Oliver Marmol has just built a culture of ferocity and fun in that dugout, and it is showing. It is showing. So you have to watch out for the Cardinals, and so if you're the Cubs, you should definitely be aggressive, because the Cardinals are going to be aggressive. They've figured out that they're in a good position, and they just went through a stretch. They've lost the last 4, so the Cardinals might make a move sooner rather than later, before the market starts to heat up. And then if you're the D-backs or the Padres, you probably have to see what the market's going to look like. Yeah. Are you going to get more out of buying, or are you going to get more out of selling? And I think for the Padres, they're going to do a lot more for their future if they sell, because they've got some talent that people will be interested in.
Yeah.
And I think the D-backs as well might be in that position. And I say that because they have a few pieces that they can get something in the market for. Like, I would not be surprised to see Boston call again about Ketel Marte. There's a few teams I think that would call about Ketel Marte. And there's a couple other pieces on that D-backs roster that I think a lot of people would be interested, or a lot of teams would be interested in. So as much as you don't like it, if you're a D-backs fan or a Padres fan, kicking it down and building again for another year, are you gonna fizzle out in the wild card round now? Or are you gonna try and make a push next year and actually put some pressure on the Dodgers? You're gonna get a lot more out of pressure next year, especially because there's a lot of heat in this lineup that's just getting old for the Dodgers. Another season, you're gonna see some more drop off. As much as I love Mookie Betts, this has not been a good year for him.
No.
You could, and if this is truly his downward turn, that only bodes well, because his contract, he's not going to get traded. Nobody's going to want him. The Dodgers are either going to have to pay that contract to the other team, because Mookie's one of the ones that's got deferred salary with the Dodgers for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And so you're not going to trade Mookie, but there are other pieces, you're not going to have to worry about Mookie as much, but there are other pieces there that they're getting older. And some of these guys, they're a flash in the pan. They're going to drop off much quicker than the elite guys do. And so you have this perfect storm of, you are going to get more out of next year than you will out of this season if you're an NL West team. And like, the Giants are already started their fire sale and their restructuring with the trade of Patrick Bailey. So for the other teams, Rockies, obviously, they're always, like I said before, there's always a for sale side there, as far as their roster is concerned. So if you're the D-backs and the Padres, if you really think you're that close, make the push. But more realistically, you are going to get a lot more out of, using the trade market to your gain as far as long-term options, and move on from there, because nobody wants to see Ketel Marte out of Arizona, except for a GM that's trying to get his team over the hump and into the World Series.
Yeah, so, I think it's that fine line. I call it the teeter-totter effect. It's the fine line of how much do you value winning now, and not having a competitive team 2 or 3 years after this, versus hey, we can kind of be competitive this year, but let's sell some pieces. We'll get some stuff back. Maybe next year we'll be maybe next year we'll be in mild contention or be a dark horse. We'll get those pieces to grow, and then 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the line, we have a team like that of the Yankees or the Dodgers where we're going to be competing for that 5-year window. So I think the Diamondbacks are a very unique team where they can put that. I think you're right about them. The Padres, for whatever reason, they always seem to be in contention towards the end of the year, whether they bring pieces in or not. I think the Padres could be an interesting choice. I don't think Machado or Tatis goes, but other pieces on the team, you could kind of make on you're going to argue that. What's up?
So here's the thing. Xander Bogaerts, Jackson Merrill, and Fernando Tatis are all three on the trade market already.
Really? Tatis is on the trade market?
He has not hit a home run yet this season.
Okay.
Through 50, he's played in every game, 53 games, 0 home runs. You need his bat if you're going to be competitive. You have to have his bat. He's only hitting 260. He's not hitting home runs. Yeah. If another team is going to be willing to shell out appropriate compensation, which I think this is one of those years where it could happen. Because and especially you look at the Phillies. We were just talking about the Phillies.
Yeah.
I get the Phillies going for a guy that, hitting 260 in that lineup and not being able to hit the long ball isn't as big of a deal because you have guys like Bryce Harper. You have guys like Kyle Schwarber that are actually, they're doing it. So he has time to work with them to fix his swing. And he is a tremendous right fielder. So he would be a very reasonable replacement for Adolis Garcia. And
I'm looking at the Dodgers stats right now. Machado, he's only batting 169. He may have 9 home runs, but he's batting 169.
And Manny, I think is the exception here. I don't think Manny Machado gets traded. I have no reason to think that. He is the meaning that he has to that organization. I don't think they would just trade him in the middle of a season. Is it possible? Sure. It's possible for any player to get traded, as we've seen.
Yeah.
But I don't think Machado is one that I don't think gets traded. I think Xander Bogaerts, because of the fact that he has definitely underperformed what they paid him. He's a decent shortstop. He's decent defensively, but his bat is definitely not what you want. I would even say, Jackson Merrill, Fernando Tatis, they're both already on the trade block. Laureano, if anybody's interested in him,
but that's your whole outfield.
Well, right, but you could move Gavin Sheets or Nick Castellanos into those positions and be fine. Bryce Johnson, they probably want to get some stuff out of him anyway. He's not stellar at the plate is concerned, but he's okay defensively. Honestly, like if you're trading Fernando Tatis Jr. to the Phillies, you're getting Adolis Garcia back. So you're still going to have a decent outfielder. It's just going to be another outfielder that doesn't hit. And so you can maybe work with that. And, sometimes that coaching switch helps players with their swing or, fixes defensive issues. Like it just happens, it doesn't always make sense to everybody.
Again, the chemistry, the change in the team could help the chemistry. It works both ways. It could hurt the chemistry or it could help the team with the chemistry. So
absolutely. And then you look at they've got Ty France and he's not in the starting lineup right now. He hasn't been, but you and I both know that Ty France, it can turn it on at any moment.
Yeah.
So that's another piece that could be moved, or they could move him into a, let's say, for example, if they were to trade Gavin Sheets because, they were trying to start clearing some stuff out, then you can move Ty France into that role. If somebody calls about Gavin Sheets, I don't think anybody would, but defensively he's not bad, but bat wise, he's not the type of guy that you trade for at the deadline, but it's possible they get a phone call. But yeah, I think the Padres absolutely have some pieces that they can move, but It's just going to be a matter of, because it's Fernando Tatis Jr. Yes, he hasn't hit a home run. He's only hit 260 this year, but he's still enough of a player. He's still enough of an athlete that you're not just getting him for a couple of draft picks from 5 years or, over 5 years. You're going to be, you're going to be sending some compensation. So that's where with the Phillies, it's like picks. You're sending Adolis Garcia. You're sending money, or you're taking on a substantial part of that contract because you're taking the risk. They're gonna, the Phillies even would probably also be looking at do we Do we look at sending somebody else over that, or like prospects? Phillies actually have a decently deep prospect pool that they can pull from. So if you've got a couple of guys that are going to be ready next year and you're the Padres that are trading away because you realize this year ain't going to happen, a couple of guys are going to be ready in spring training. Okay. We're not worried because that they consistently, what's one of the things that's interesting about the Padres is, good or bad, they're kind of like the Rockies. They have a consistent home attendance over 30 grand.
Yep.
So
part of that, because I did go to a game when I was in San Diego in the Padres, and I love Petco Field. It's like my second favorite baseball stadium that I've been to, because I've been to Turner Field. I went to Turner Field. I haven't been to Truist Field, but I went to Turner Field. Petco Park, T-Mobile Park, which was Safeco Field. And then I've been outside Wrigley, Kauffman. Are there any others? I saw the outside of Shea Stadium. Yeah, but of the ones I went to, I like Safeco Field, T-Mobile Park in Seattle, and then Petco Park. I love Petco because they bring in dogs almost every single game. You can bring your dog to the park and watch the game, and I absolutely love that about the Padres. But go ahead, you were saying.
No, it's. I mean, they always have a good attendance, so they're not gonna be one of these organizations that's gonna really get a bunch of explosive. We're refusing to buy tickets from the fans, like the White Sox or the
Cincinnati
A's or whatever
Reds.
else. They're not going to see that, so they can withstand 3/4 of a season of people that are not happy about a move to know that next year this is going to be a team to beat, and so I think that they can make that push. All right.
Before we go on, do you think the reason the Padres are kind of loved like that is because it's the only team left in San Diego? Does that have part of it? That's got to have something to do with it, right?
I would think.
Yeah. Because they don't have somebody like Dean Spanos owning the team. By the way, fuck you, Dean Spanos.
Right.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. That was unprofessional. I am so sorry.
So sorry. Okay, so Monday, the Houston Astros threw the first combined no-no of 2024, and I was discussing with some friends of mine, and one of them said that we will start to see more combined no-nos than before, and solo ones aren't going to start happening until like the All-Star break or after, because the manager is monitoring pitch counts and times through the lineup. And Ando, what do you think? Are the days of solo no-hitters in April and May and June a thing of the past? And will we see more of the combined no-hitters moving forward?
I did some research on this. Do you know how many hit for the cycles we saw in 2025?
Hit for the cycle?
Hit for the cycle. There were 2 in 2025. I didn't write down the names who did it because I was looking at this before the podcast started. Do you know how many no-hitters, absolute no-hitters, whether it was solo or combined, that we had in 2025?
It was like, what, 5?
No-hitters in 2025. According to the research that I did on
right.
Google.
Okay, you're right. You are right. Yeah.
So since 1925, based on the research that I did online through Google, since 1925, a no-hitter, whether it is combined or solo, happens just as often, so suffice to say not very often, as a hit for the cycle, which I thought was incredible because you play kind of both cycles, right? It's one person hitting single, double, triple, and home run. For those of you who don't know what hit the cycle is, a no-hitter in baseball means you do not allow a base hit the entire length of the game. It's different than a perfect game, which is you go through 27 up, 27 down. I'm going to argue and say combined, I think we'll start seeing closer towards the All-Star break, and then the combined ones I think we'll see throughout the rest of the season. But you're right, because pitching coaches are monitoring the pitch count so closely, right? Because you don't want your pitcher to get hurt. The pitch clock is accelerating how fast you have to be ready to pitch, and some pitchers need more time between pitchers to heal. Which I think you and I discussed this last year. I have actually become a fan of the pitch clock.
Same.
I know you like the pitch clock as well. It speeds up the game. And you don't have those guys that are like, all right, cool. All right. Okay. All right. Eyebrows are on point. Okay. All right. Now let me meditate at the mound. Right, see? All that garbage. Just put the ball in your glove, get the signal, fucking throw the ball. But obviously now that you have the accelerated pitch clock, you need to have your pitchers ready to go. I think most of the pitchers, judging by how their preparation goes, I think they have. It's a lot like football where you kind of schedule out your first 25 plays. I think pitchers are kind of working on that now, where I'm going to attack this batter. So let's say I'm taking on the Phillies, right? I know Schwarber's batting second. I know Harper's batting third, or vice versa. So I know Schwarber and Harper, like this pitch, and this pitch. I'm going to come at them like this, and this, right? And obviously, and the cool thing with the pitchers is they only pitch once every 5 games. So they necessarily will not see the same batters for a couple weeks. So it's plenty of time for them to study the rotation and get ready to go. I think no-hitters are going to increase the closer we get to the All-Star break for combined. And then I think combined will actually stay consistent through the rest of the season. But I think your solos will see closer towards the end of the year. I think the last one was thrown in September, which would have been the end of the season. And I think that was I think the Reds got no hit by the Cubs. I think was the last one that had happened.
Yeah, in 2024.
Yep. I think it's unique for the game of baseball when we do get those no-hitters. By having a no-hitter, it means one team can't hit the bat. And one of the reasons I watch baseball is for people to hit the ball and get on base so that there's an opportunity to score. So it's not my cup of tea, but I can understand that it's a part of the game that people like to see.
It's not something you see often when you get to actually sit and watch. Like I've watched a few no-hitters before.
Let me rephrase that. As a Mariners fan, if the Astros or the Yankees get no hit by a Mariners pitcher, I am totally on board with that, like warm and fuzzy. But as a fan of baseball, you like to see, it's just like going to a basketball game or a football game. As much as you want a very close game or like a defensive game, it's more exciting when you get those base hits or those 3-pointers or those touchdowns.
Right. No, and I get that. Like, and I've watched a few, and I know that I look at it differently just because I used to play, I was a catcher. So when you see a no-hitter, like that's a pitcher and a catcher that are working together very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
And so like for me, like I have an appreciation for that, but I also understand that not all fans are going to see it that way because, the chicks dig the long ball. Like it is what it is. Like that's it's a core truth within baseball. And so when you have those games that are like that, not all fans are going to like it. And so it's you've got to just it is what it is. But also I think that there's a lot of benefits with like complete games and no hitters and stuff because your bullpen is getting a rest.
Yeah.
And your pitcher is getting a boost of confidence because like over the course of MLB history, there's been less than a total of 1,500 no-hitters in all of baseball history. I think it's less than 1,300 if I remember correctly. It's like I think it's right around 1,300. And just in the course of MLB history, there's only been that many no-hitters. So to be in a position, to look at that now, a season without him isn't a surprise, but if you can manage to, as a pitcher, if you can manage to do that, like that is a piece of baseball history that nobody can take away from you, regardless. You got a no-hitter. Yeah. And so like for me, I can appreciate it to that extent, but also like, I would have been a little frustrated if I went to that Royals Red Sox game and it was a no-hitter either way. Because like I was there, I wanted to see action. I wanted to see the stuff on the base paths. I have an appreciation for good fielding. Like I would have enjoyed all of those things. Like, and I did enjoy all of those things. Yeah. Like even like I watched Salvador, one of the home runs that was hit in that game because Jared Duran hit a home run in that game. It was the deciding home run. But I also watched Salvador Perez hit a home run. That guy's a beast at the plate. And then I think the other one against
the Yankees too.
Michael Garcia also hit a home run in that game, if I remember correctly. And so like, and I love watching it. Like you just to see that and to be able to appreciate it. Cause like one of the things people forget is you don't see a home run every game.
Mm-mm. No.
It does not happen every game. Like it happened most games, but it does not happen every game. So to get to see that is really cool. But like I cannot, so I understand that the people that are like, no, I want to see action.
So
like I get it.
As a catcher, obviously the pitcher is gonna have that feeling, right? This pitch is on point. I feel really confident throwing this. As a catcher, because you're working with that pitcher. Now I know who was it that what was the David Ross? David Ross, when he caught for the Cubs, worked with a certain pitcher. What was the pitcher that he worked with? Do we remember?
It was it John Lester?
I think it was Lester soundtrack because they both played in Boston, right?
Yep. Yeah. So they worked. Yeah. They had experience together, and that's So, you're right.
As a catcher, obviously, because again, you played baseball and I didn't. As a catcher, when you were catching for different pitchers, you got that vibe, right? Like you could kind of feel what they were throwing, so you knew what signals to get the pitcher to kind of be like, "Hey, I think the batter's doing this. Go more outside," or "This lefty is hitting it from the left side," or hitting it because you're pitching it outside. Maybe go a little bit deeper to the other side of the plate, or maybe go deeper into the ball zone because he's going to swing at those, knowing that you're going to throw that away pitch. As a catcher, you kind of caught on to that, right? Being able to kind of feel where the pitcher's going.
Yeah, and that's part of the benefit of like you'll see, like if you watch a baseball game, when they do when they're doing the intros and stuff like that.
Yeah.
One of the things that almost always happens, it's almost always like this, is the starting catcher when they're going through the intros. The starting catcher and the starting pitcher are in the dugout where the starting pitcher's warming up. Okay. And the reason why, like, and this was something that I was taught, and I've seen a lot. It's not always like this, obviously, but most of the time it's like this because that catcher is getting a sense of what is hitting for the pitcher, where are they missing from, where are the issues. Like if I know that when I tell my pitcher to throw a slider on the outside edge in the bottom corner of the plate, and every time I call that pitch during warmups, he's throwing it a foot outside.
Yeah.
Now I need to know, okay, is this guy, do I need to wait for somebody that's chasing? Do I need to just not call that pitch out there? Like you start, you get to see how the pitcher is doing.
Yeah.
And then it becomes definitely more of a challenge when you deal with guys that are coming out of the bullpen because, usually they were warming up in the bullpen. And when they come out, you're going to get like 5 to 10 warm-up pitches. And, some of these pro guys are probably better at it than I was, but I need more than 5 to 10 pitches to see where a pitcher's going. Yeah. So those, that first few at bats after a guy comes out of the bullpen is a little more difficult for catchers that don't have a lot of experience with the pitcher that they're working with, or even just for that day, not knowing where they're hitting. Because as I'm trying to call pitches, that's like for me, when I was working with bullpen guys, that was more often when I was sometimes looking to the dugout for help on what I should be looking at. And when I would get through that first inning, like, especially if it was going to guy, like my opener, my starter went 4 or 5 innings. So I've still got, and this next guy, he's my setup guy. So he's going to go 2. When I get done with that first inning, I'm thinking about the information that I learned about where he was going. And I'm going to talk to the bullpen catcher, whoever helped the pitcher warm up. Like, okay, what was he hitting? What was he doing? What did you see? That way, when I go back out for the next inning, I can call the game better. And now I don't know if they do that now, or if, because when you got an MLB team, Carlos Narvaez works multiple times over the season. So they're going to understand kind of some of the tendencies of, some of the bullpen guys, but getting that info of, what are they hitting? What are they missing at? He's got to, he has to get that more on the fly because he's got that 10 warm-up pitches when that pitcher comes out. And, so you're going to, okay, he has 3 pitches. I need to see how is he locating for this one for, a normal spot? Is he locating for this one? Is he locating for this one? Now, what about this? Like, just trying to get as much of a base information to start. And then now you've got to go back and think about, okay, I'm at my next batter. This is Salvador Perez. He can't hit shit in the middle inside of the zone. So I'm going to try and pepper that first just to kind of exploit that so I can see how he's locating.
Yeah.
And then kind of work out from there. And so there's different things that you can do with it, but the guys at the top level, they have a much better routine than I did. And that's why they're pros. And I'm fucking talking to you here.
Yeah. It's a lot of it has to do with chemistry. The way, as you were explaining it, it's a lot like your starting quarterback in the NFL, right? Patrick Mahomes has his chemistry with Rashee Rice and Tyron Thornton and Xavier Worthy, right? Patrick goes down. That's the equivalent of bringing in your bullpen guy, because now your backup quarterback has to go, okay, receivers like the balls, so Xavier likes it, cut across the corner, make sure it hits him in the numbers. Whereas Rashee Rice, he likes it down the sideline, but he wants it out in front, so I'm not hitting him in the numbers. It'd be something pretty similar to that, right? Where you got to get that chemistry on the fly.
Well, I yes and no, and I think that a backup quarterback in the NFL is going to have more experience because you're not going to take a lot of reps with those guys.
Yeah,
but with that type of stuff, there's most of the time you're going to have, if you've got a wide receiver in a streak running down the sideline, you've got to throw ahead of him anyway.
Yeah,
you're not throwing behind him. You're not making them stop. You want them to catch that ball in stride.
Yeah,
and if you're throwing to a guy cutting across the middle of the field, Xavier Worthy's running a crossing route, you're placing that ball where it's best for him to catch it at that moment. Yeah. And what the pressure is going to be like when the ball gets to him. So I think there are some differences there that don't quite carry over, but at the same time, there are still some things that you're going to need to understand the tendencies of your receivers. But backup quarterbacks get a lot more time to work with wide receivers than, on a consistent basis than a starting catcher has to do with your
relievers and backups. And
where they may only see them 2 or 3 times a week for 25, 30 pitches. Yeah. So there is
the sample size is a hell of a lot smaller is what you're saying.
Right. And especially when you get when a reliever goes down and they call somebody up from the AAA squad. Unless those guys have already known each other, have worked together at some way, shape, or form at some point. When he comes in that game right after he gets called up, they have no idea how to work with each other.
Yeah.
And so there's definitely a challenge with that. And they've got systems for how they figure that stuff out. And they're talking before the game, like Carlos Narvaez knows, okay, this is the new call-up guy. He throws a sinker, a 2-seamer, and a changeup. And he knows from those pitches, okay, it's a right-handed pitcher. This is how his ball should move. So you kind of just have to go off of that and see where everything's at. They have, so they have some stuff for that. But, there's some interesting challenges when you're dealing with the relay of a catcher and a pitcher. All right. We were going to talk about some other stuff. The other guys didn't show up. So we're going to do 2 other things here. I wanted to get your input on this. Over the weekend, we saw Florida and Texas Tech square off in what would become a very tense series in the Super Regionals for the Women's College World Series. Mia Williams, daughter of former NBA player Jason Williams, or as any of us that are basketball fans, White Chocolate, with that West Virginia accent. Last 2 seasons before this one, his daughter Mia, she played for Florida Gators. This series, but this year she had transferred over to Texas Tech. This series between them and the Super Regionals ended up being very tense, with Gators pitchers hitting Mia 5 times during the series, while no other player on either squad got hit once. Mia responded pretty well. She hit home runs. She was hitting home runs quite a bit. She actually hit the game-winning home runs in games 1 and 3. Following game 3, the Gators softball players refused to shake hands after their defeat. During this series, there were multiple warnings from umpires. Fans were ejected. At one point, Gators fans tried to get White Chocolate ejected, and his youngest daughter was hit with objects that were allegedly thrown by Gators fans. This was just a battle. For you, Ando, how did this look to you? Was this a bunch of salty Florida players, or was the tension here, was it justified?
So I'm going to first start off, I think, by obviously painting the obvious elephant in the room is that if you don't care about the team that you're playing, that's fine. Keep it respectful. I'm one of those people that will kind of rant and rave. Like if the other team is batting, I'll shout out some toilet paper or pork chop as they're swinging the bat, right? Something that I think will add a level of antagonizing to the game, but nothing that I feel crosses the line, right? I'm not shouting obscenities in public. I'm not using racial slurs. I'm not saying, "Hey, go kill yourself in the middle of the game," right?
Right.
As a fan of sports, I keep saying this over and over. There is no room for violence in sports, right? I get Florida does not like Texas Tech. I get it that you don't like Mia Williams. I get it that the team beats you and now you have a bad taste in your mouth. In no way, shape, or form should you purposely be looking to get fans removed from the game just because they're enjoying it. Right now, if White Chocolate is signing autographs and taking money from fans, sure, have a conversation. I'm sure Jason Williams is smart enough not to do shit like that, but have a conversation. And if he doesn't do it anymore, let it go. But there's no reason for you to be throwing stuff at fans. There's no reason for you to be getting somebody thrown out. There's no reason for you to attack the little sister of the person who used to play for your team. Don't, right? That goes beyond salty fans. Like that is you know you're doing something wrong. And again,
Right.
sports people, please fix this. Please, for the love of everything holy, fix this. Only you guys can fix this. I can't go to a game and stop you from chucking a beer onto a field because you're upset. Only you can do that. It makes the game less enjoyable for everybody else to watch. PSA, don't play stupid games. You get kicked out and then you get made to look like shit. That being said, I absolutely love that Mia took this in stride, right? She gets hit 5 times. As a player, if I'm playing stuff like that, I'm going to hold it against me. I'm going to be pissed, obviously, but she took the high road, right? I'm sure she's feeling pain. I'm sure she's taking ice baths after the game. But there is something that is absolutely gorgeous and beautiful about karma smacking you right in the face, or in this point, Mia's bat popping that ball over whatever field line it goes into, over the wall, and your team just won, right? So Mia Williams, do not change. I know you want to come back at him, right? But you did the right thing. Let your actions in the game be the result of everything that happened to you. And I mean, it's fucking Florida, right? When was the last time Florida was relevant in football, right? Sure, they won a couple basketball NCAA championships, right? But as Adam Sandler would say, Gator fans are honorary because they have all of those teeth to brush and no teeth for us to brush them with. I'm just fucking throwing shit out because I need a laugh. But seriously, no, it's not justified. Fucking fix it. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm going to say this. From my days of playing organized sports, that handshake after the game is a very important piece for those of you that have never played organized sports. The reason behind it is because you always want to respect your opponent.
Yeah.
The Red Sox and the Yankees have scrapped historically during games, and still after the game, they walked out, they shook hands, they went back to their dugouts, went to the clubhouse. Like you have to, at the end of the day, you have to respect your opponent. And I take serious issue with that. I know that when I played, if we had refused to go shake hands with our opponent, we were going to be spending a lot of time on the bench after that.
Yep.
And because you don't want that culture in your team.
No.
So to the Florida coaches, I understand it was the end of the season, but you gotta find a way to hold these girls accountable for that. I understand it was a tense series, a lot of he said, she said going on with different things, but that is unacceptable. And then I will also say, for any time that Mia Williams got hit intentionally, which it's very reasonable to assume that all 5 were.
Oh, I mean, dude, yeah, there was some intention to it.
And in watching all of those, because I went back and watched all of them, and watching all of them, they definitely all looked intentional. But let's say, for the sake of grace, that maybe one or two of them actually weren't. It was a freak situation. That still leaves 3 or 4 times, where you intentionally put somebody in danger because they changed teams.
Yeah.
Professional sports is a business, and as a college athlete, you are now in professional sports because you're getting paid. Oh yeah, it's your NIL that you're getting paid for. You're getting paid to play.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And so for me, I take exception to that, because you are putting a bad taste in professional sports. As a catcher, I literally almost went at one of my pitchers because he intentionally hit somebody. I never called for it, and I would raise holy hell if anybody else was trying to make something like that happen.
Yeah.
Because that's not the right way to do it.
Yeah.
You want to do something about somebody pissing you off, do it on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're here to do. The pitcher that, the pitcher accidentally hit one of our players. Okay, well, that's a guy on base. We're just going to score runs off of that.
Yeah.
And then you have to live with the fact that you gave us 3 points because you wanted to be a dumbass and not control your pitch. So like for me, I'm not one of those that calls for stuff like that. If you got an issue with a guy bat flipping, get him out next time.
Don't allow him to hit a home
hitting
run.
him with the ball, hitting him with the pitch, all it does is give him the opportunity to score a fucking point on you.
Yeah.
Whether it's from stolen bases, maybe somebody hits a deep single and he's able to get around the base path really quick. Mm-hmm. There are so many things that you give up by making that choice. I cannot stress this enough. Intentionally harming somebody, intentionally hitting somebody with a baseball in a game, intentionally hitting somebody with a softball in a game, it's unacceptable. Yeah. There is no reason for it in professional sports.
Nope.
And lastly, I want to say this to the person that was throwing things at the little sister, Jason Williams' youngest daughter. In his comments, he said that the police asked if he wanted to press charges, and he said, no, that old lady ain't got much time left anyways. So
first off, you're an old lady. You know better.
Yeah, if you're an old person or you look old, you damn sure know better.
Yeah.
Than to throw something that could hit a kid.
Yeah.
There is no reason for that. And you should feel like a complete piece of shit. Whether
Absolutely.
you're just mad. Like, I mean, short of Jason Williams walking up.
That is a booster throwing shit at a little. Like,
it's got to be.
I can't stress this enough. Do better, people. Please.
Like, that's where I'm at with it. Like, there's so many things wrong with that. And there's no place for it in any sport.
No.
Wrapping up today, we're going to skip some of the other stuff I thought I was going to do. Wrapping up, to close out the show, it was announced today that the MLBPA handed their first offer to the league owners for CBA negotiations. This includes a low salary penalty or competitive integrity tax for teams below $150 million, a raise to the minimum salary from like $780 to I think $1.5 million, and raising the threshold for the competitive balance tax from $244 million to $300 million. We are expecting the first offer from the owners in the next day or two, and it is expected to include the hard cap and floor system the owners have been lobbying for. Ando, do you think the players are putting the competitive integrity tax in there as a way of telling the owners where the salary floor will need to be for them to consider it? Or do they have some type of hope this alternative will spark interest?
I think you and I have both said that there needs to be a salary floor in baseball, right? If there's no salary cap, I think you need to have a floor that teams are going to remain competitive. It's not fair that the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Cubs, the Red Sox, the Mets, they get to spend almost $1 billion on payroll every year, no matter how you break it down, whether it's deferred, whether you're paying for it up front, however you do it. There are teams that do not spend $500 million in a decade of baseball, just because whether that city's economy isn't there, or they don't have the need or the ability to draw those people in. I think the floor will open it up so that maybe Cincinnati, sure, they got chili with cinnamon in it. Ooh. But you need incentive for people to sign with teams. I like competitive baseball. I think that's why I like the NL Central so much right now, because every team is competitive. You can make an argument that the AL West is competitive for all the wrong reasons, because no team is above 500. Yay, Mariners at first place at 28-29. But if you make the market so that only the big teams get the better players, first off, we're not going to see everybody's favorite player every single day, right? If you put the best, we'll say the best 15 players on the Yankees, the Dodgers, and the Red Sox, right? We'll go, actually, no, let's go best 9, 18, 20. We'll say the best 30 players. Between those three teams, people aren't going to come to watch their team at home unless they're playing the Red Sox, the Yankees, and the Dodgers. Unless you're at the home stadium of one of those, which, congratulations, good for you. Your team can spend money. I've always believed that competitiveness in sports is necessary. I think we all kind of get tired of making fun of it. And again, because I'm a big football fan, I'm kind of gravitating back to football. I think we all get tired of making fun of the Jets. I think we all get tired of making fun of the Browns. I think we all get fun of making fun of the Titans, right? Those three teams almost always never have a competitive roster. Why? There's no reason to go there. But where the NFL benefits is, hey, each team has the same amount of money. Each team has the same amount of roster spaces. It is up to you as an owner, a coach, and a team to bring those people to your cities. If you don't do it, that's on you. We're making the same fair advantage. You can't say that about baseball. But I think with the salary floor and being that each team has to spend this much, I think each team will have a better opportunity. I like the move, and I hope the owners, if the owners have to tweak it a little bit, sure. But I think at the end of the day, I think it's going to make baseball more competitive. And that's what you want with your sports league, is to be competitive so that every team has an opportunity to win, including my Mariners, which would be very nice if they won it this year.
I think that, like, for me, I definitely think that throwing out the 150 is them saying, look, the salary floor needs to be here. Like, because I do think that the salary cap happens, and the way that they're going to get, the players to agree to it is going to be that certain, the way deals are structured now is a lot of these guys are going to be considered legacy, and then where it's going to impact the cap differently than the new contracts that are coming up and new contracts that are getting signed. And as a result, teams like the Dodgers and the Mets and the Yankees and so on, those teams that are the top in payroll, which is really the top five teams. I think it's the Mets, the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Jays, and the Phillies. There is like those high end deals that they've got, like Juan Soto's deal and Shohei's deal and stuff like that. Like, it's not going to make them have to trade. It's not going to make the Dodgers have to trade Shohei. That's not going to happen. So you're going to see that's going to be where players are like, okay, well, and then as things balance, guys are still going to get paid, but who's getting paid is going to be more spread out.
Yeah.
And that, that's going to kind of, balance some things out. Cause I agree that when you have, because there is, I can understand the frustration with there being that much talent between, like, we'll say the Mets and the Dodgers specifically, because those are the top two payrolls. But also, they're also a very interesting snapshot of each other, because when you look at the Mets, they have the highest payroll in baseball, and they have one of the worst teams in baseball.
Yep.
The
Which
Dodgers
again comes back to chemistry.
Right. Whereas the Dodgers have the second highest payroll in baseball when you don't count the deferred money that they're sitting on, and they are one of the best. They are one of the best teams in baseball. So there is truth in the fact that it's not just about spending money, it's about spending money effectively. Like, when I've talked about the issues that I have with how the Red Sox handled the offseason, I didn't just want them to go spend money to spend money. I wanted them to spend money effectively and, and pay the price for, being able to get the right pieces, and that's not what happened, unfortunately. But, when you look at, and the reason that this is important, because, like, if the salary floor this year was at 150 million. The teams that would be facing penalties would be there would be 13 teams.
Jesus, almost half the league.
Almost half the league would be getting a penalty because, like, the Royals are the highest team that's not above 150, and they're at 146. The Reds are at 132. The Brewers at 128. The Rockies at 117. The Twins at 105. The Pirates at 104. The Rays, who are one of the best teams in baseball right now, at 103. Yeah. The Cardinals at 94. The A's at 93. The Nats at 93. The White Sox at 90. The Guardians at 80. And the Marlins at 78. So,
and the Guardians are the best team in the AL Central right now.
Right. Well,
and they have a payroll of $80 million.
The Arizona Diamondbacks, whose owner, Ken Kendricks, for those of you that haven't watched the show a lot, I cannot stand that dickhead. He also happens to have one of the most amazing rare baseball collections you could ever dream of. There's videos of it all over YouTube. He has some cards that would just blow your fucking mind. But no, a notorious cheap ass. They actually have the 13th best payroll in baseball this year. They're right behind the Red Sox. And the D-backs are 4 games back just in their division. I don't even think they're in. I think they might just be just outside of wild card contention right now. Like actually they have the number 1 wild card seat. So, I mean, you're a wild card team, but at the 13th best payroll, the 13th highest payroll in the league, that's what people would expect based on those numbers.
Yeah.
But again, you look at the fact that the Padres,
same record as the Diamondbacks.
Same record as the Diamondbacks. They have their payroll is like $30-40 million more than the D-backs, and they're in the same position. So, like, it is true that the payroll doesn't dictate the success of the franchise. Yeah. But if you didn't have 8 of the top 20 players in the league between pitchers and fielding positions on the Dodgers roster, and the Dodgers were forced to have that spread out, then then who's to say one of those isn't on one of those lower payroll teams that's like just a piece away from being competitive. Like, we talked about the Royals needing to panic right now. The Cardinals, 1 or 2 pieces away. The Guardians, they're leading their division, but they don't have enough. They have enough to make some noise in the American League playoffs. But once you get locked in against the Yankees or the Rays right now, the Guardians aren't beating them in a series. That's just not happening. No. So what are you going to do? Like the Patrick Bailey trade was huge for them. I think it was an amazing pickup, but they're still not there. So, you've got plenty of money to play with if you're the Guardians, and they should absolutely be paying what it takes to fill in that gap. Because this year, the truth is this year, the American League is wide open. So if you're the Guardians, the fact that you only have a $90 million payroll is it shows that your front office is not taking advantage, because you have plenty of money to burn. And so I think that for me, I legitimately, I more realistically, I think the salary floor goes in at 125.
I go with that.
Like when everything's said and done, I think we're going to see a salary floor at 125, and the first year that the salary cap is fully in place, the cap will be probably in the range of 275. Just realistically, I think that's where it's going to land.
I could see 100 million too as the cap floor.
No,
you don't think that's too little?
Nope.
Okay.
No, and it's because the players are definitely going to take a stand here.
Okay.
Especially because you look at the fact, like, they want the minimum salary increase from 780 to 1.5.
Okay.
Okay. So with that much of an increase, just off of that, most teams are going to get probably, you're going to see a lot of teams get above 100 million, but now you look at the fact that the players, with the players union, their job is to make sure that they all get paid. That's the job of the players union. They're going to want to see that money spread out a little better. And they're going to want to make sure that players are still getting paid in general. So 125 to 150 is going to be a more realistic stretch. And they're probably going to push when they finally decide that they accept that the salary cap is going to be inevitable. They're going to try for 300 million.
Okay.
But I think it's going to end 250 to 275.
So that would be the most that the teams could spend would be 250.
Or whatever that number is, or like.
So like what you're saying is that the cap is at, let's say, 275. That means every team can only spend 275 million, and you get penalized if you spend more than that.
Right, but another piece of this is going to be because part of the CBA will be agreeing to the penalties for going over. And so is it going to be, just a financial disincentive, or are they going to lose draft picks? Because like in the NFL, if you go over that, you can lose draft picks.
Yeah.
You can, the team, on top of the fact that the team gets fined.
Yeah.
But in basketball, it's really just financial tiers.
Yeah.
Like there's not, like they say there's a cap in basketball. There really isn't.
No.
It's just a matter of, okay, well, if I go over this mark, I have to pay an extra $75 million this year in luxury tax.
Or a certain percentage of how much you're over.
Right. Or a certain, whatever it is.
Which to the Lakers, to the Lakers, $3, $4, $5 million is nothing, but to a team like the Hornets or the Pelicans, $5 million can mean the difference between making or breaking even.
Right. No, you're 100% correct. And that's where, and that's where it's going to come down to is that's the other piece is the players are going to have to agree to that too. So, okay, if we're setting up if we're in agreement in principle on we'll say 125 and 275 respectively for the floor and the cap. All right. So when the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Red Sox, whoever, the Mets spends 290, what's the penalty for going 15 million over?
Yeah.
Because it's hard to use that to determine a value through like taking away draft picks.
Yeah.
Because and some people don't like when I say this, but it's the truth. Every MLB draft pick is a crapshoot.
Okay. Absolutely.
Because in truth, every draft pick for professional sports is a crapshoot. Some have better odds to do well than others.
Yeah.
But even some that are drafted earlier are complete washouts.
Mm-hmm.
It's first round draft pick crumble all the time in every sport.
Yeah. Or hypothetically, you could get a Russell Wilson situation where, hey, you can draft me, but I don't know if I'm going to play because I got another sport I'm jumping into. So
exactly, and so you just there ends up being so much with that stuff that it's hard. So that leans more towards financial disincentives. So is my punishment for going 15 million over the cap $1 million? Cost of doing business. Is my punishment for going $25 million over the cap $100 million? Now I have to stop and think. So where is that line going to be? And that's what they'll have to agree on. And then that will be those type of things, like the actual amounts for the salary cap and floor and the penalties for going over and under. Those are going to be probably harder things to negotiate.
Yeah.
In the end.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah. But that's why we're not making those decisions, right? As fans, we just going to sit here and hope they don't delay baseball next year because they all can't come to agreement. So
I still stand by what I said 2 weeks ago. I think that if they get to a point where it's close and they don't want to miss a season, nobody wants to miss a season and not get paid. yeah, they've got their insurance and their coffers and storage and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
these guys are professional athletes. These guys, baseball players, they like what they do.
Yeah.
And so they want to be able to play. So
we don't need a repeat of the 94 lockout where we don't determine a champion, because
right.
who knows, right? The Expos were playing really good baseball. The Indians were playing really good baseball. We could still have baseball in Montreal.
Yeah.
But we don't know,
and that's the thing is that's if that 94 strike doesn't happen, it is very possible we still have the Expos in Montreal.
Yeah.
Which means we don't have
I think we have a 32 league. We could have a 32 league team with baseball in Montreal.
32 team, yeah. 32 team league, yeah. Well, I mean, because the Expos moved to
Washington in 2005.
Maybe in 2005. That that doesn't happen. So when because they'd won that World Series, now is Arizona, like, do we not have the Diamondbacks? Or what expansion team do we not
it was
have?
Tampa Bay and Arizona came together, I want to say 94, no, 96?
96, yeah.
96, yeah, because it was 5 years when the Diamondbacks won the World Series, yeah, so it would have been 96. So do you take baseball out of Tampa Bay, or do you take baseball out of Arizona? Or do you leave baseball out of the nation's capital entirely until after Katrina hits, right? You get those teams. Houston gets affected by Katrina. You move Houston to Washington now, right? Because Washington has the baseball field. Do you not have baseball in Houston? Because you can make the argument Houston, who was still a National League at the time, National League team, could have made the argument to go to Washington instead. A big old what if.
It's possible, but I think they would. The MLB wants baseball in the Southwest, so I think that Houston and Arizona, I think they would be more likely that you would take baseball out of Tampa Bay, because that was always a risky market to begin with. Even when they went into Tampa Bay, there was trepidation, and now obviously we've seen there was reason for that. And we may be looking at it's still possible that Tampa Bay ends up in Orlando.
Yeah. I think as long as you keep that team in Florida, I think you'll be all right. If you wanted to call them the Tampa Bay Orlando Rays, I still would be cool with that. I think there's a little bit of me that would like to see a franchise call two different stadiums home. And I think because of the fan base that you could gain in Orlando for 60 games out of the year to be played in, well, no, because you only play 81 home games. So 40 games in Orlando, 42 in Tampa. I think something like that. It could be interesting. I think it only works in a market like that.
The benefit to Orlando as a market is that they are very much a tourist area. It's the same reason why MLB wants why the MLB wants baseball in Vegas, because you will have a lot of tourist dollars there. And that makes everybody money. So, but when you look at Tampa Bay, that city has been through so much, and the Rays are, somehow consistently always in the mix, but they don't get a lot of support.
Yeah.
Whereas if you move them to Orlando, you're going to have the local support. You're going to have the tourist support as well, where the business is much more consistent. And so, like, for me, I definitely think that the league would actually benefit from the Rays being moved from Tampa to Orlando.
Yeah.
But
we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll definitely see what happens. Well, Ando, thank you so much for joining me today. The other guys couldn't make it, unfortunately, it looks like. And
the other guys missed out. The other guys missed out. I like spending time with you on Wednesday nights, man. You know that when I miss it, I'm either sick or I'm deadly tired or my new job is kicking me in the ass, or somebody goes to Kansas City to watch a goddamn baseball game without inviting me.
In my defense, I didn't invite anybody else. But like Martha,
you gotta have date night with the wife. It's all good, man.
Yeah. She's lucky that she was invited, because honestly, I kind of wanted to do it solo.
No, like I said, you can't go to a baseball game solo, man. You have to go with somebody else.
Here's the thing. I can go to a baseball game solo. Like somebody that's never been, somebody that's just a casual fan, go with people. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Baseball is my happy place. I have no problem just sitting and watching a game solo, not typing, not saying anything, just watching the game. I despite having ADHD, baseball is one of the few things that calms me down.
Yeah.
And so I would have been perfectly fine to sit there in that seat and drink a beer and watch the Red Sox and the Royals and not have a care in the world.
Yeah.
I would have been perfectly fine. But when you do something like that, you have to take the wife because otherwise they get mad when you don't.
Yeah. They hold it over your head for 10 years. Oh, no, I'm not mad. I'm just, I'm not mad that you went to that baseball game in 2026 without me. Baby, it's 2040. I don't know why you're still upset about that. So I will say this, though. I have gotten my sister into hockey. She's been watching she's been watching every game of the Stanley Cup playoffs since the second round started. I think we have a new hockey fan in the house.
Good. I mean, that's good. Hockey's a good game to watch. I like watching. I don't get as much time to watch.
I don't know if you heard her yelling in the background, but she was yelling "fight, fight, fight" every time the play would stop because she wanted to see somebody get decked. So
that's one of the things that is uniquely great about hockey is you can always watch somebody get punched in the mouth.
Yeah,
and it's just like, okay, go sit and cool off for 2 minutes, and then you can come back to the game.
5 minutes. Fighting now is a 5-minute major.
Oh, 5 minutes. Okay.
Yep.
5 minutes.
Hey, that's more time for me to wipe up the blood. That's more time than, you know what? The 5 minutes that I'm sitting in the penalty box, still longer than the Rousey-Carino fight. Oh, no, he didn't. But it was a good show tonight, man. I had fun.
I appreciate you joining me. As always, friend. And for those of you that are watching, I appreciate you. Maybe you can check out the episode on Spotify. You can catch Ando and I Monday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern on the Sports Report podcast. And then next week on Tuesday, I will be on the Sports Nuts podcast again, talking all things baseball with those guys. Those guys are great. Make sure that you give us a follow. If you haven't already liked the Facebook page, please definitely do that. You can also follow me on TikTok at FGD7, and then check out MLB Morning Minute on YouTube. I only have a few subscribers on that. I just kind of started it a couple weeks ago. Every day on the PND Facebook page, my TikTok, and the MLB Morning Minute YouTube page, just post a quick 1 to 2 minute video updates on what's going on in the world of baseball and getting you ready for the hot matchups of the day. So definitely check that out. I would appreciate your support. For my co-host Ando, for those of you that are checking us out today live, those of you listening on Spotify afterwards, or those of you that are just watching afterwards, make sure, or watching after, make sure you like, share, tell your friends. We appreciate the support. We'll see you next week right here on Podcast Name Deferred. Have a good night, everybody.
Goodbye.
Why is this not?
Awkward silence.
Yeah.